in me. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Great crowds were traveling with Jesus, and he turned and addressed them. If anyone comes to me without hating his father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, and even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not carry his own cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. Which of you, wishing to construct a tower, does not first sit down and calculate the cost to see if there is enough for its completion? Otherwise, after laying the foundation and finding himself unable to finish the work, the onlookers should laugh at him and say, "This one began to build, but did not have the resources to finish." Or what king marching into battle will not first sit down and decide whether 10,000 troops he can successfully oppose another king, advancing upon him with 20,000 troops? But if not, while he is still far away, he will send a delegation to ask for peace terms. The same way, every one of you who does not renounce all his possessions cannot be my disciple. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. We were talking last night in the theology class about C.S. Lewis and what he said about belief in Jesus, that basically in the 20th century, it was very common for intellectuals and professors to basically dumb down everything that Jesus tried to accomplish and everything that Jesus said. There was the famous Jesus seminar, right, where they're basically, they're pulling apart the New Testament and trying to get down to the bare bones. What do we really know about Jesus? And they were questioning everything. And from that Jesus seminar, they basically concluded that Jesus was a teacher, a philosopher, and a preacher of peace. And that actually is a very common way of thinking about Jesus in our modern world. Many people who, they may say they don't believe in God, but they still see the value of Christianity because of the teachings of Jesus. Many modern Christians, many modern Catholics, we think about Jesus in the same way. People don't really want to talk about all the churchy stuff. They don't want to talk about theology, right? Even sometimes the way that Catholics think about the Mass and the liturgy, it's kind of like, why do we have all this stuff? Why is it so complicated? We just need to love each other, right? That's all that matters. Again, it's that reduction of Jesus to just being this moral preacher. And what C.S. Lewis famously wrote in his book, Mere Christianity, is that to think of Jesus in that way is really not taking him seriously. And it is not at all who Jesus was. Jesus was not just a great teacher and a philosopher. As C.S. Lewis says, he was either a liar or a lunatic, or he really is the Lord of the universe. If he was just a good preacher, then why did he say things like, "Before Abraham existed, I already existed"? "Unless you eat my flesh and drink my blood, you won't have life within you." "Unless you hate father and mother for my sake, you cannot be my disciple." That's not exactly just being a teacher of peace, is it? Jesus was not just a teacher of peace and forgiveness, even though he did encourage us to bring peace, to forgive. Jesus is the Lord of the universe. And because of that, he truly is the one person who really matters in this world and in our lives. When he said that you have to hate your father and mother, it's jarring to us. And of course, it was jarring to his disciples. And Jesus was using hyperbole as he did on various occasions in his ministry when he said, don't call anybody teacher, don't call anybody father. He was exaggerating. When he said, when your hand causes you to sin, you need to cut it off. He was exaggerating. He doesn't literally mean that all of us should hate our parents or our spouse or our children. But what he was trying to make absolutely clear is that he must be the one true priority in your life. Otherwise, you're not really his disciple. It is our relationship with him. It is us doing what he tells us and asks us to do that is the one thing that ultimately matters. And that seems radical, and that seems unfair. But if you think about it, it's absolutely true. This is exactly what the priests were telling us yesterday at Wabash. They gave these amazing talks about their stories. Father Chase talked about being a professional soccer player, and he had this realization that none of the prestige, none of the fame, none of the glory, it was never going to give him the one thing that he really needed. God is the one who created him. And he created him for a purpose. So there literally was no other way for him to be truly fulfilled except for doing what God asked of him. And he felt God asked him to be a priest. And the other two priests said very similar things, and it's absolutely true. We will never be who we were supposed to be. We'll never find that true fulfillment that comes from knowing who we really are, unless we truly make Christ the one true priority in our life. Every other priority must come second to what he is asking us, to what he wills for us. He was being hyperbolic, but the words he said were true. If anyone or anything gets in the way of us doing what he made us to do, then we must choose him.